I think there are some people who are confused, and they seem to be living under this illusion that if only Donald Trump were president again, and Trump has said this himself, that he could stop the war in Ukraine, like, just like that, tomorrow morning. This is ridiculous because he certainly kept every other war that was handed to him going. Why is Donald Trump any less of a neocon than Joe Biden? Donald Trump hired John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. Could you get any more neocon? It's these are hypotheticals. Oh, well, he could do this. Yeah, I'll tell you what's not hypothetical. Donald Trump broke numerous UN Security Council resolutions. He moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and said that Jerusalem, which is illegally annexed by Israel, is Israel, and the Golan Heights in Syria, which are also illegally annexed by Israel, are now also Israel. He just he redraws the maps at the State Department, and starts giving away land that doesn't even belong to him. What the hell are you doing here? Go home. So he's even more hawkish and more of a Zionist than his predecessors. I mean, think how much of a Zionist, or I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's clueless, because if he's clueless and he's doing this, it's not worse. It's just really bad as well. I think he's very, very astute, and he knows exactly what he's doing. That's why I made a video. It was called Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to Israel, or something like that. And I went through all these concessions that he's given them. And of course, the Abraham Accords, which are not real accords, he likes to think that it was diplomacy. It wasn't diplomacy. He got the UAE, which is a country where 20%, where only 20% actually come from the UAE. It's the UAE is 80% foreigners, because that's what its purpose is. It was created by foreigners for business. It's a colony. And Bahrain, most of the people there are against any ties with Israel. So what diplomacy is this? What peace plan? Bahrain and the UAE were never at war with Israel. What are you talking about? The Palestinians, Syrians, and Iraq and Lebanese are at war with Israel. Where do you even talk to them? What peace did you make? It's just like, what based off of this, I struggle to understand what diplomacy he would achieve between Russia and Ukraine. Let's say it's another Republican. Same crap. You are really, really fooling yourself if you believe that there is a difference between them. They are one faction, okay? Or as I said earlier, one party with, different factions in them. It's the same bubble, Also, Russia, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, no pun intended. Russia and Ukraine are not the center of the universe. There are other things that matter. Conflicts that also deal with illegal invasion and annexation, and actually have UN Security Council resolutions clearly outlining what has to be done, that have never been applied and need resolving and have been going on for far longer and cause more casualties. I just mentioned one of them. So, Donald Trump is not a peacemaker. That is absurd. The Chinese are peacemakers, and they proved that. I don't need to it's not my opinion. It's a fact. They got Iran and Saudi Arabia, and then as a consequence, by consequence, Saudi Arabia and Syria, and Saudi Arabia and Yemen. So that's 3 peace deals, actually. They did that. The Chinese did that. Not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not a Republican, not a Democrat. Washington has become irrelevant. During the 90s, Bill Clinton tried to give this impression that with the Oslo Accords, and it's not just Bill Clinton, but I especially have Bill Clinton in mind. During the 90s, right? Especially Bill Clinton, they tried to give the impression that he's a peacemaker, and he's going to get the Palestinians and the Israelis to talk to each other. And what did he achieve? 30 years later, Palestinians have nothing. The occupation is even more brutal than before. And Israel is on a losing streak, but they're still occupiers and still there. So nothing's been resolved. Don't fool yourself. Come on, have some more self-respect for your own intelligence and other people's intelligence. There is no difference between Democrats or Republicans. They have pursued these policies for decades. Okay? And Trump is not some beloved saint. He is the one who did all this stuff I just listed in Palestine. It is, he and Mike Pompeo that indicted a journalist, Julian Assange. And yes, I suppose with North Korea, that was good of him to go there, because it's even to this day it's still taboo. Oh my God, North Korea is so backwards, they're evil, and all this propaganda crap. And that was good. I think that was maybe the only redeeming thing about Trump, that he went and met with Kim Jong-un, which I don't recall any U.S. president doing. And you have to consider it's a wonder that he even met with the Americans. The Americans killed 20% of North Korea's population. 20%. If someone killed 20% of the U.S. population, they would be nuked. That's why North Korea developed nukes. It's a deterrent. In any case, I don't think for 1 second that Donald Trump would have any incentive to stop the war in Ukraine. And how could he, given this track record? It's nothing to, there's no value whatsoever. He also said a lot of nice things when he was trying to get elected, I remember this video. I can't find the bloody thing. It was on some breakfast show, and he was saying how, Saudi Arabia is giving, is funding these jihadists in Syria, and the United States is also helping them, and they're helping Al Qaeda, and I was like shocked. Wow, this guy actually knows what's happening, and he's saying it on TV. And then what does Trump do? He gets elected and puts sanctions on Syria and sanctions on Iran, and he tries a coup in Venezuela. I'm sorry, this guy is he's not interested in peace, man. That's war. You put sanctions on a country, that's a declaration of war. Funny thing is, Joe Biden hasn't changed any of it, which really shows you how sneaky, why should Joe Biden change anything? Because people tolerated it in the United States, and there are no consequences. And Joe Biden wants to do the same things with Blinken and Austin. So why would he change it? I knew this was going to happen, and I told you every one of these things. Sanctions on Syria and Iran. Look, the nuclear deal, still the United States. That's another thing Donald Trump pulled out of. The Americans, and this is true of the United States in general, they don't want to be held accountable for anything that they do. The only international agreements that Americans want and actually try to forge and maintain are extradition agreements, extradition treaties. Those are the only agreements with other nations, the only ones the United States cares about. That is a fact. That is a fact. It's so they can, extraterritorialize their laws, export U.S. law into countries that are not the United States. That is what it is about.